let's take a look at the valuation tear sheets, and these are available for US public companies. And I'm going to use Coca-Cola as an example. Now I navigate to the tear sheet first by filtering my search, and I'm going to search only for US companies and public companies, and then I enter the company name or ticker into the search, and there's Coca-Cola. Now when I do that, I then navigate to the valuation tab, and there's Coca-Cola's valuation tear sheet. Now on the left-hand side, we have share price data. We've got high and low share price values. We've also got an ability to download the 5-year history, and we also have VWAP share price. And note that I can change the time horizon on that. For example, there's a 3-month VWAP. Now below this, we have economic data, tax rate, growth rates, inflation rates, and benchmark interest rates. Also note that for the tax rate, if I click on that, you'll see it's a hyperlink, and that takes me through to Coca-Cola's latest annual filing showing their marginal tax rate. Now in the middle of the tear sheet, we have the EV bridge, which shows Coca-Cola's market capitalisation, their enterprise value, and their net debt. Now these numbers automatically update for the latest annual and quarterly filings, and the numbers are also fully auditable. For example, if I click on shares outstanding, I can then click through and it takes me to Coca-Cola's latest quarterly filing and shows us where the number is sourced from in that filing. It's worth highlighting that at the bottom of the table, I can click on that down arrow and we have some additional data on leases and stock-based compensation. One further feature in the EV bridge is that we have an operating lease toggle at the top of the table. This allows me to modify the enterprise value calculation to include operating leases as debt within enterprise value. If I change that toggle, the numbers all update to include operating leases. So this allows me to adjust the EV calculation based on your team's own convention for the treatment of operating leases. Now on the right of the tear sheet, we have the WACC calculator. This calculator has up-to-date market inputs, but also allows you to customise some of those inputs. For example, I can select either a 10 or a 20-year government bond yield as my risk-free rate. For the equity risk premium, I can choose to use a historic average. I can choose a survey input, or I can customise that. So I'll change that to a 5% equity risk premium. And you can see all the numbers update when I make changes to those inputs. And the other thing to flag is the beta figure. I can either use the company's 5-year historical beta, or I can choose an industry beta. Now that industry beta is based on the comps selected in the comps table. So if, for example, I wanted to add an additional comp, let's say I wanted to add Celsius Holdings as a comp, then the industry beta updates to reflect that additional comp. If we keep scrolling down the tear sheet, you can see we have the comps builder as the next table, and we'll cover that in a separate video. And below that, we have an earnings table. Now that earnings table shows latest reported, LTM, and 3 years of forecast revenue, EBITDA, and EPS. And those forecasts are FactSet consensus estimates, and they're updated daily. The final thing to note is that each of the tables I've highlighted have a copy feature, so we can copy that data and paste that data into Excel. So it's a really easy way to incorporate the data into your own analysis.